Morning, good people. How are you? It's Friday. It's late today. I had a lie in. 7:20. Friday the 25th of September. Rainy, cold. Yeah, well, it's Friday, and as the title says, you know what I'm going to say. You absolutely know what I'm going to say. This Friday is the most important day of next week. Said it before, I'm going to say it again. This Friday is the most important day of next week. Daniel Goleman, in his rather fab book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, uses the phrase about emotions, but I think it works for everything, about being competent pilots of our lives. And you kind of got a choice, haven't you? You can kind of just let life happen to you, or you can kind of at least try and control it in some way. And sometimes you can't control it. We've talked about that before, that Stoic philosophy thing about control the things you can control and accept the things you can't. Because thinking about Goleman there, that's how we can kind of manage the emotional content of our lives, I suppose. Because I think sometimes, and I do this, you get wound up by stuff that's completely outside of your control. And why? Because it's outside of your control. That's the point. Morning. I know what you're going to say. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting predictable. Running out of stuff to say. So, yeah. So you are. The emotional content of your life really kind of matters, because it's that kind of drives your reaction to things, I think what I'm going to do, maybe over the coming few days, though, is think of an interesting thing, which surprised me the more I read about it, which is how the physical aspects of your well-being impact on your emotional reaction to things. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, rest, all of those kind of things have a real impact on how you emotionally respond, because a lot of our emotional response is driven by that fight or flight kind of thing, that chemical response in our bodies. But Goleman says there are three types of us out there, and one of them is emotionally. One of them is that people are engulfed. Some people are engulfed emotionally. Their emotions control their responses to things. I mean, I suppose, we're maybe bits of all these things, because I know my response to my nutrition is often driven by my emotions. I kind of sometimes eat based on how I'm feeling. It's my own personal nemesis, diet and nutrition. There's a little more of me than I would like there to be, and that's because I often eat from an emotional response. I want to eat nice things because I'm relaxed. I want to eat nice things because I'm feeling a bit stressed and all that kind of thing. So some of us are engulfed at times, and that's not where we need to be. He also says some of us are accepting out of our emotions. We know we're down, we know we're happy, we know we're sad, we know we're angry, but we just accept that that's how it must have to be. So that's a bit better than being engulfed, I suppose, because engulfed kind of suggests being overwhelmed. Accepting suggests that kind of, well, I'm angry now, so I'll just be angry, and you are going to respond from that basis. But both of them are not good positions. But the third one he suggests, which is the competent pilots of our lives one, is that we're self-aware. And being self-aware is a real journey. I don't think I've really got to a point where I understand myself as well as I do, and I don't understand myself completely. I don't think we ever can, until quite recently. I mean, I'm 53, and I don't think I've really understood the need to consider my emotional response, how to manage my emotional response to things, until very recently. But what it means is, if you can manage the emotional content of your life, it means you respond from a pragmatic practical position to the problems of life, and when you respond emotionally, it gets in the way of your productivity. It means you procrastinate. It means you become so focused on the emotions of the thing within your response that you don't do your best work. And when I say best work, I don't mean work at work necessarily. I mean work at work and the stuff you work at home, maybe, trips out, days out, cooking meals together, all those kind of things. If you're caught up and bound up in your emotional content, then I'm not sure you're getting the best out of those kind of things. To me, the best way to start to think about your emotions is to write stuff down, is to journal stuff, because in trying to externalize your feelings and your emotions by writing them down, I think has a real power. And one of the things that's powerful about it is you can go back to it when you're in a different emotional state. So if you journal stuff as and when you feel the need to, keep your journal close to hand, you can then go back and look at those things and kind of reflect on them. And I think reflection is a really important part of becoming competent pilots of our lives. And reflection, in the profession I'm part of, social work, we use reflection a lot in professional practice, but it's a great thing for life in general, to kind of consider what you did, why you did it, and what was driving you to do it, and what you might try to do differently next time. That's reflection, essentially, in a nutshell. So we're going to try and move, and weekends are a good time to do this, to have a think about the kind of things that you might want to change in terms of the emotional content of how you respond to things. So we're going to have a look at these Daniel Goleman things. Are you engulfed, overwhelmed? Do you just accept your emotions and you think that's just the way it is, and you're not going to try and do anything about changing your emotional responses to things? Or do you want to be a competent pilot of your life? I think we all want to be the latter, wouldn't we? So have a think about that. Grab yourself, get online and buy yourself a nice journal. That's always a great starting point for me, buying something. Buy a journal with a nice cover and a nice new pen, and set your stall out by writing things down so you can have a think about how you're managing the emotional content of your lives. Let's see where that gets you. And finally, this Friday is the most important day of next week. So get your planning done for next week, because that's one thing that really will help you manage the emotional content of next week by being organised and planned in a very disciplined way. Alright, take care. It's nearly the weekend. See you tomorrow.